Hello and welcome back. Anna Delman here for day 25 of my 365-day journey to a rejuvenated and strengthened internally, externally, living a wonderful, gifted life. Today's note is ongoing process. Change is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing, it's a daily thing, ongoing. We have to keep on renewing our thoughts and remembering to make choices in the milliseconds of life. We need to be alert to our weaknesses. I started this morning when I woke up with just thoughts about what my day needs to look like and what that ongoing process needed to be for me. Because it was so dark outside and cold, we are in the mid-20s Fahrenheit in our mornings. In the afternoons we go up to about 50, 60 Fahrenheit. That's cold for me. I was going to pop out here on my little patio project area and record something, and not at 5 o'clock when it's 20, 25 Fahrenheit. Not at all. Maybe I should change that because my thoughts are fresh. So I sat inside and I wrote it out. So yesterday I was guilty of the same thing where I read more than I spoke, but this was me speaking to myself this morning. So I will continue to share with you what I was telling myself, speaking to myself this morning to convict me and hold myself accountable to what I know is the correct thing to do when I am exposed to a weakness in my life. And don't we all have a whole lot of them? So we always need to be alert to our own weaknesses. This is true not only when we are working through a specific area in need of change, but in general. It's those icky parts of us that we've tamed and neutralized the reality of what they are. We can't call them icky anymore because we've neutralized them. It's become a normal way of looking or seeing or considering someone or something, and that's not a good thing. We may no longer think a hated thought about someone or something in actuality that they have our hate bestowed on them. We're far more polite in our thoughts. We've okayed this troublesome heart attitude with a look of disdain, that little glance we give people, or a murmur, a heart rumbling. We may smile, but that heart rumbling is there, that dig in our heart like one-upmanship. It's a silent heart, one of contempt. And that's just so nasty. I'm getting to the point where you'll understand why I'm holding myself accountable to that. We've even tamed our heart grumblings in response to the trigger. No longer are we left angry, depressed, and out of sorts. We can amble along in the salve we've placated without finding a solution. And depression is internalized anger, internalized discontentment. We're angry at something, discontent with something or someone, and we've yet to find out the solution. We'll talk about that another time. That's a whole different topic. For now, I want to talk about that salve, the emotional response, the tame one, to discontent. My example that I was referring to, yesterday's video, I did a finger wag at one point. That was an emotional response to a salved trigger. In the morning, I'd been out shopping, and way in the distance, I saw someone, one of the icky folk we meet in our lives. They're everywhere in the world. You have them in your life, I have them in mine. Well, I saw one of them, the ickies. I looked away and went about my business. But in that moment, I saw them and the thought was ick. So let's stop there a moment. That was my response in a millisecond. Sure, I didn't fully understand it then, but there was the recognition, that person, take another path, go about your business, stay away. Why did I have that response? Because they represent ick to me. Acknowledge their stance, evaluate them, and consider who they are. Have the correct emotions, sadness at their cultural limitation that keeps them justifying rather than examining truthfulness of their reality, of things that you know occurred and they know occurred, but they won't look at and consider objectively. Then have gratitude for the freedom that is given you through your foundation mind, the biblical exposition of the situation that occurred so long ago. That's where I get my freedom from. That's why I'm no longer caught up in their activities and finding ways to please them and be around them. I don't need that. I'm content with the community that has been given me apart from that situation. Then, as I said, I went about my business. Was I free of that moment, or was it still deep down bothering me? I think you know the answer. I wagged my finger, revealing I am still bothered. That wasn't when it happened. It was hours that I came and I shared a video of encouragement, yet my response was to wag a finger. How childish and immature. This is a good example of what we've been addressing. Change, regrouping, examination of our psyche, our understanding and thoughts about the current struggle and where it originates. This too is one of those instances where there can be no solution going back to the origination of the awkward moments that now have made for ick persons whom I see in the distance on occasion. So what is the way forward? How do I need to resolve this within myself? This is when we need to have a foundation that serves us to be okay with all of that junk in our past that sometimes rears its ugly head in our present. We need to be able to smile, nod, and move ahead unaffected by ick. And ick in this comment is referring to, beyond what happened to me yesterday, what I'm sharing to you about yesterday and before, earlier, to have me have a mental association of that situation, circumstance, person being an ick. What is that rearing its ugly head in your life, whatever it may be? We need to figure that out for ourselves and move on. Change your thoughts about the ick, perhaps compassion for their limited thoughts and understanding, because that's how their culture functions. That's not a snobbish thing. We should have that out of compassion, that they still need to grow and mature in what they profess is their foundation, or their reasonableness about society and societal interactions. And you, me, our freedom lies in letting go of them and moving forward unfettered by the immaturity and incestuous mindset which is holding them trapped and confined to the understanding they have about life and circumstances. It's sad. Culture and tradition related to them denies them the freedom to be honest. They need to examine beyond themselves to what is true about life. We all need to do that, and that is how we grow, and we can let go of those things that bother us, that hold us back, and we think, if only, what if? We don't need to have the if onlys and what ifs answered in our life. We can move on, and that is such a gift. It is so freeing. Move forward. Yesterday too, I mentioned my foundation is my faith, God, the Bible, God in the Bible, and I want to talk about that some more. Please don't shut me out because this may not be your understanding of how life functions or how the world functions. Consider Proverbs as a book of wisdom. Proverbs is in the Old Testament, roundabout in the middle. I encourage you to take a good look at it and to read the Psalms too. If you only read those two to give you a foundation and wisdom about life, you are on a winning streak. Both will serve you well if you want clear and caring instruction on how to live and manage oddities and difficulties in life. You can learn many practical life applications in it. Goodness, you will even begin to understand some of your own wrong paths and why things did not work out for you the way they should have. You weren't applying wisdom, what you knew was correct in those moments. It's a good place to go for practical wisdom and practical living. Here's an example that will leave you in good stead as you navigate your days and are looking for a way to choose a better community. Psalm 1:1 says, "Blessed is the man who doesn't walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scoffers." So what does that mean? You are blessed. You will be happier. You will be fortunate. You will be in an enviable position for your wisdom and walking away from something. You didn't get caught up in chatting and yakking and listening to nonsensical, inconsequential and plain old gossip about life from others. You didn't sit there. You didn't linger and talk about stuff. You didn't listen to it. You are free of all of that stuff that is not uplifting and building. And then you didn't sit with them and get caught up in their further not uplifting and building conversation. You don't need it. I don't need it. That in itself is freedom. And what is nonsensical circular conversation? It always ends up talking about others. You don't need to listen to the negativity about other people. When you get caught up in that, it kind of like settles down into your gut and into your psyche, and you think about it. Why do you need to be thinking those kind of thoughts about other people based on what people have told you, who most probably don't even know the truth about circumstances and situations? That is day number 25 on why we need to be in an ongoing process of growth and change. I've shared transparently about my own issue, and now that I'm aware of it, I need to be in deeper thought and yes, prayer, asking God to change my understanding and grow me so that I don't falter that way again. It's not nice to have that ickiness in ourselves when we think other people are ick. It's because we're having that ick moment in our own hearts and our own psyche, and that's not good. So I hope you'll be back tomorrow for another opportunity to talk some more about ongoing change, to regroup and reassess our own realities so that we can therefore be encouraging to others. Take care and God bless. Goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.